It was late in the year 1846. The leaves were changing colors, the weather getting cooler, the days getting shorter. Iowa was about to be granted statehood, and a handful of children began attending the first school in Des Moines. At that time, Des Moines wasn't really even Des Moines. The post office was known as Raccoon Forks, and it would be another 5 years before the city of Fort Des Moines was incorporated. But as more and more people settled at the junction of the Raccoon and Des Moines rivers, schools were a priority of the earliest residents. Soon after the first school opened, the first public school district was formed in 1849. And for more than half a century, new districts organized across the new city, throughout neighborhoods and in townships. One for East Des Moines, one for North Des Moines, and another for West Des Moines. Capitol Park served the area around Union Park, while Oak Park was a prominent district on the city's north side. The Greenwood Park district was a single building on what is now 37th Street, while the Oakdale district used a log cabin as its first school. By the early 1900s, more than 20 different school districts served the children of Des Moines. 100 years ago, the citizens of Des Moines had a lot on their minds. They were concerned about taxes, annexation, the politics in Washington, and building a new city hall. But they were also concerned about the future of the city's schools. Some forward-looking leaders shared a common interest: equity. How could so many different school districts best serve all the children of the same city? And so a consolidation was proposed. Combine these districts, some big and some small, some rich and some poor, into one that would serve every student in Des Moines. As Des Moines grew and annexed several smaller townships surrounding it, some school districts began to consolidate as well. And by 1907, 2 large school districts were responsible for most of the public schools in the city: the East Des Moines School District and the West Des Moines School District. Not the suburb of West Des Moines, which would be known as Valley Junction until 1937, but the area of the city that lay between the Des Moines River and 63rd Street. But the debate continued about the need for a single school district for the city. And the initial reaction was split. Numerous articles in the Des Moines Register and Leader described the changes in attitudes and the concerns of each side. The East Des Moines School Board was the first to endorse a merger, while residents on the west side were worried about higher taxes. But one of the strongest supporters of consolidation, Drake University President Hill M. Bell, put the debate into perspective. It is certainly futile to think of a great city here if one portion of it selfishly ignores another portion, he said. And I submit to you that selfishness is the only consideration that would permit the people of any district to use their influence against consolidation and a greater Des Moines school system. And so the question was put to the people: shall all the territory within the city of Des Moines be united into one school district? While one former school board member wagered all kinds of hats and cigars that the vote will be heavy, only 4,000 ballots were cast. But those who did, 3,078 for and 943 against, saw an opportunity to improve public education in Iowa's capital city. On May 21st, 1907, voters said yes to the Des Moines Independent Community School District. Back in 1907, Theodore Roosevelt, the namesake for a high school to open 20 years later, was President of the United States. The first Montessori school opened in Italy. The Chicago Cubs won the World Series. And 7 local schools became part of the new Des Moines School District and continue to educate students to this day. These legacy schools, Cattell, East, Greenwood, McKinley, North, Oak Park, and Park Avenue, have a rich history that continues. That year, 3 high schools, East, North, and West, became part of the new school district. East High began in 1861, sharing space with an elementary school until getting a home of its own in 1891. Then, on May 17, 1912, Principal May Goodrell and the Grand Army of the Republic Color Guard led a parade as students carried books and loaded furniture onto trucks and horse-drawn wagons, marching in front of a cheering crowd from their old building to their new school on East 13th, where East High continues on today. A high school in the suburb of North Des Moines was opened in 1889, which consisted of 3 rooms and a hallway. 70 years later, North High moved to their present home, now attended by more than 1,100 students. West High continued to teach students for nearly 2 decades until Roosevelt and Lincoln High Schools opened in the 1920s to meet the demands of a growing city. Named for a state legislator who was an early proponent for educational opportunity for all, regardless of race, Cattell School was opened in 1890. When the original building was torn down, a brand new home for Cattell School was built on the original site in 1992. Greenwood School first opened in 1901, and the school was its own district, Greenwood Park, until it joined consolidation. Greenwood School now serves more than 450 elementary students from first-generation Americans to descendants of Des Moines' founding families. Greenwood's architectural twin, McKinley School, was built in 1904. The school began with 8 rooms, one for each of the 8 grades that were considered elementary a century ago. Today, over 360 students are educated at this school in the heart of the city. The original part of Oak Park School opened in 1891 as part of a school district serving 2 neighborhoods with rich traditions, Oak Park and Highland. A century later, more than 400 students attend grades K through 5 at this historic location. On the city's south side, Park Avenue School began in 1885 and consisted of 2 rooms, one with 40 students and the other with 60. Several additions later, 480 students attend this school. These 7 schools were present at the creation of the Des Moines Independent Community School District and continue to serve our community to this day.